hear me? Okay. Hello, church. It's good to see you all today. So, I'm going to tell you what I told Dr. Dean Scott when she asked me to preach, which is that I don't know how to preach. But if you know me, and anyone who knows me will tell you this, that I do know how to talk. I talk a lot. And the thing I am most qualified to talk about is myself. But on a more serious note, both of my parents, which funny enough are joining us live, they are watching us on YouTube for all the way from Kenya. Both of them are college professors, PhD educated. So in the spirit of that, I will do a little bit of teaching. Um, Pastor Melgar today taught us a little bit how another call and response with his Maranatha. Because I'm Kenyan, I will teach you a Swahili one. So you're going to learn a little bit of Swahili today. So I'm going to tell you basically how we do the Happy Sabbath, Happy Day, which is I say Sabato Njema, and then you say Mambo Mwema. So Sabato Njema. Sabato Njema. Thank you. And also, again, coming from my parents' background as teachers, basically, I'm going to be a little bit interactive. That means I'm going to be talking to the children, so I hope you will be listening as well. Okay, so well, I guess starting from the beginning, you heard I was born in Arkansas, which is down south. But I left when I was very, very young. I was 5. Who here is 5? Do we have someone who's 5? Is David 5? David, can you come up here? Oh, okay. Coming on this way. So I left when I was this little, when I was as little as David. This is how old I was when I left Arkansas and went back to Kenya. My parents were here getting their PhDs, and they decided to go back once my mother finished hers. And so I was born and raised in Kenya. So I want an older kid here, Christelle, Kaylee, one of you. One of you can come up, come on. So, Kaylee, how old are you?
11.
Okay. How good would you say your memory is?
Good.
It's pretty good. How much do you remember from when you were 5?
Some stuff.
Yeah, some stuff. Thank you for volunteering. That's basically the same. David, you can go back down too. Thank you. So in the same way that Kaylee is, and a lot of you I expect, I remember very little from when I was 5. So even though on paper I am an American, I would consider myself more of a Kenyan than anything else. I spent most of my life there. That's 12 years until I came back here. From the time that I went back, I always said I wanted to come here to pursue higher education. There's a lot of opportunities in America. I don't really have to explain that, I think, to you. But there's a lot of great opportunity for things that you can come here and do. So again, when I went back home to Kenya. Do you guys know where Kenya is? Yeah. Where is it? Yep, it's in Africa. It's in East Africa. Dr. Dean Scott gave you a globe. I don't know how accurate it is. Maybe it shows it on there. But it's on the east coast of Africa. But yeah, I always wanted to come back to the States, but there are a couple of barriers to doing so. The first of which is, again, it's just more difficult to try and come here when you are, when you're not here. Applying to institutions when you're abroad can be very difficult. And the other one is obviously the barrier for financially, basically. Even Americans themselves will tell you, the adults will tell you, tuition is very expensive. But we're coming from a place where the exchange rate is super high, and to explain that, I'm gonna need some volunteers again. Okay, Gabby, Christelle. I have some Kenyan money here. Let me see if I can. So, could you hold this for me, Gabby? Thank you. So, could you hold it up, Gabby? So what Gabby is holding is 10 Kenyan shillings. What do you see on it? Can you look at it?
A lion?
You see a lion?
Yeah, a lion.
She sees a lion on it. That's what's on there. Our coin currency I want to say recently, it was not so recent, I think 2017, 2016, they made it so we have our big 5 animals on there. So it's basically our wild animals that are on there. That's sort of just a little side tangent, again, teaching today as well as preaching. Um, but for reference, if I can find it, Christelle, that is worth about 1 dime. I think you've seen a dime before, 10 cents, right? So that, oh, okay, there you go. So again, to explain this to you, this much money can buy you, well, now, when I was a kid, now because of money and inflation and all that, but it could buy you a bag of chips. So think like, what's your favorite brand of chips?
Doritos.
Yeah, so something like that, right? That could buy you that. But that is worth that much in America. Can you buy a bag of Doritos with a dime?
No.
Yeah. How much, do you know how much it would be?
Like $2.
I think so. Like, it's a small bag. I'm not talking about a big old bag, just like a small one like that. I think maybe Christelle's right. I don't know. But yeah, thank you again. Thank you so much. But you can go now. So that's basically just a sort of description of how much the exchange rate is. So that money, which can take you super far back home, doesn't stretch as far back here, right? So even if my parents would want to, and even if we were doing super well off, when you come here, the money shrinks. So again, so to overcome this, first of all, the best way to do this would be to get scholarships, which is like what we all want to do. And the best way to do that is to get good grades. So that's what my parents told me, get good grades, get good grades. So I spent my entire time back home in Kenya working to get good grades. And then I was in the middle of doing my international examinations, which I did a British curriculum. I think some people are aware of it. It's a little different from the American one, but we do these international examinations, so we are judged against people all across the world. But as I was in the middle of doing that, my mother's like, they are doing SATs in Nairobi, which is the capital city of Kenya. So as they were doing that, as I was in the middle of my exam, she's like, they're doing this, and they only do it like once a year. So you have this one opportunity. But I'm like, I'm in the middle of studying. So she says, yeah, well, you have 2 weeks between when you're done with these exams and when you can take the SATs. So I was like, okay, I guess so. So I had 2 weeks to learn the entire American curriculum and well enough so that I could take the exam. And during this time, I was sort of shopping for schools. For context, this was 2021. I was looking around for the types of schools that I'd like and what kind of SAT score I needed to get so that I could get into these schools. So I had my eye on a couple here and there, and like for most of them, I think I would have had to score 1,500, I want to say. I can't remember what the total is. Is it 1,600 for the highest you could get? Yeah, I had to get above 1,500 for that, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna do it. And so again, with this 2-week period, I did it as quickly as I could, and then I got my results, and it wasn't what I wanted. I got a 1260, which it's still high, considering especially I only had a couple weeks to do it, but not high enough, not what I wanted. So I was a little down, but my mother told me to just keep looking. You'll find something, you'll find something. And again, for the context I provided before, it was 2021, and this was a year after, yes, the pandemic, the huge shutdown. And so what that did was that for a lot of universities, they removed their requirements for SATs. So this opened up a whole new area of places that I could apply to, and I didn't even actually need the SAT scores. So I was looking around, and then I ended up finding, I think, 2 schools, one of them being Kent State. And I said, okay, this looks like a good school. I can apply to it. It has the degree that I'm looking for, because I wanted to do something environmental related, because my father is a professor, I said that before, specifically of environmental science. So I grew up kind of wanting to do that. But yeah, so I thought Kent State looked like a great place. I'm gonna go there. So I applied to it, and then in November they got back to me and they said, yeah, you got in. And so I was like, this is great, this is incredible. And I decided to, I was looking at the cost of everything, and it was a big number. And I sat down and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And again, my mother was right there saying, go on, just keep on looking for things and keep on looking for your scholarships in different areas. So I found and I compiled several different scholarships, and I finally got to the point where the following year, I think I only had a little bit to cover on my own, with everything combined, including loans. I think I had about $4,000 to finish, to pay off the rest of my tuition. And I was like, I really want to go, but there's also the plane ticket, which for reasons, as I've explained before, is very expensive comparatively to the money that my parents make back home. Again, college professors. So, so I was sitting there and I was like, I'm not sure what to do. And my father's like, I don't know if it's worth it for you for us to spend all this money. Like, that just sounds like a huge amount of insurmountable like money that we just can't get right now, and I'm not sure it's worth it. So I remember I cried. I cried and cried, but then I prayed and I prayed. And I was like, I really want this. I really, really want this, and I really think that I can do this. And so my mom, what she did, because my mom was very on my side throughout this whole process, is she told me to sit down and come up with a plan. Because, again, I said my parents are college professors. They like things done a certain way, so I created what I call like a presentation, essentially. That I was going to go to my father and give him an outline and say, this is what I'm going to do my first year. By this year, I'm going to have this much money, and then I'm going to be able to afford it. I said, I promise you, after 1 year of school, I'm going to be fully self-supporting. I'm going to do everything myself. I promise I'll get it done. And my father was like, okay, like I'm coming around. And then God sent what my mom calls the first of many angels to come. My father was doing some sort of, I think it was a conference or something. It was in Kenya. They were doing it at Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is an African Great Lake, pretty big, think the same size as like Lake Superior. But they were doing some sort of conference, and my father ran into a graduate student, and he was talking to her, and he said, where'd you say you were from again? And she said, Kent State University. And so he was like, oh my God, my daughter just got accepted into that. And he was like, oh, that's interesting. And he was like, do you think that she could work in your lab? And she was like, I don't know. She's like, I'll give you a card, and definitely she'd tell her to reach out to me. And so I was like, what are the odds? So my dad gave this to me, and I had, again, mind you, at this point I had already gotten one of the jobs at Kent State. It was as a front desk receptionist at the Honors College. And I was like, oh, another job. I was like, but I was saying, but will they let me in? I have no experience. I don't really know any of these people. They don't know me personally, but they were just like, just write the email. So I wrote it to her, and she connected me to her boss, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm gonna send an email to him, and he said, definitely, when you come on campus, come talk to me, I'll get you a job. So then around that time, I also got a federal work study, so it made me more attractive to employers at the time. So I got both the jobs I wanted, I had all the scholarships that I needed, still had that $4,000, but I told my dad I'm gonna put it on a payment plan, and we're gonna work it out, we're gonna get it done. So my parents pulled all the money that they had, they bought me this ticket, and they sent me off alone, because again, we only had enough for one. So I had to come all the way over here by myself. I was 17, so around the age of, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Johnny, yeah. So I was here all by myself. My parents were worried. It was a very tearful goodbye. But I came all the way here, and I started working at the current employment. And also, again, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was like, this is work in a lab that is semi-related to what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to do environmental stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so I just started working, and I started working with him. And within, going back a little bit actually, the day that I arrived on campus, I remember seeing this girl, and I was like, oh, she looks nice. I was like, but I can't talk to her. I'm a little bit shy. I'm very apprehensive. And then I didn't have a good way to run into her. And so we ended up being late for the same meeting because we ended up being across the hall from each other as roommates. And I was like, oh, so this is my chance to talk to her. So I got to talk to her. I was like, oh, how are you? My name is so-and-so. We introduced ourselves. And then the next day, again, I'm still very new. I'm still trying to make friends. And I reached out to her. I was like, you know, I'm looking for friends and stuff. And she was like, oh, you can come with me and my friend. We're going to meet up, and we're just gonna have a lunch or something. And so we get to talking, and then as we're eating, I was like, oh yeah, you know, I was like, yeah, I just didn't get the pepperoni pizza forever, because of my religion. And so I asked them. I think I'm the one who asked them that. So I was like, wait, what church do you go to, or what kind of religion is this? And they're looking at me and they're like, you probably haven't heard of it, you know, I'm not too sure about it. And I was like, what is it? And then they say Seventh-day Adventist, and I'm like, you're lying to me. I said, you're lying. And they said, no, I'm being sincere. And that girl was Shane. She's not here today. But that girl was Shane, and her friend was Priscilla. And I could not believe it. So I was like, I don't know if I can go to a church. I looked on Google Maps when I was back in Kenya, and I couldn't find a single church around here. And Shane's like, I know 2 people who'd be willing to take us to church. And that was Dr. Dean Scott and Dr. Scott. And they drove us to church every Saturday that first year as a freshman. And I could not have been more, again, Shane was my second angel that came through. And I, again, could not believe that I had been that fortunate. And so now coming into the second year, I finally get an extra scholarship, some more aid from the government, enough that I didn't have to get another loan, and I was fully sufficient on myself. I didn't have to ask my parents. I didn't have to ask my parents to pay anything. I haven't asked them for any help since that year, which was 2022, and I've been fully self-sufficient on my own. So, yes. And so, again, going back to, this is, again, oh yeah, I didn't say that, but the Scots were my angels, another set of angels sent into my way. And then as time has progressed, and the amount of work that I've done at Kent State, again, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have, what is it, Elder Ferdinand said? I didn't have the interests, I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the vocation, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just there. So I, again, sat down with the person who was the director of this lab, and he was kind of like, what are you interested in doing? And I was like, just give me anything, and I'll do it. And he gave me this project, and again, by the grace of God, it's something I was interested in. And I began doing this work, and it was initially, again, he does work with water, aquatic ecology, and the work that project he gave me was terrestrial, so that just means, you know, on the ground, like trees and stuff. And I remember doing that work, and I was like, I'm so interested in this. I was like, is there a way to do it in like what you do? And so he gave me project after project that was, again, in aquatic ecology, helped me build tons of experience. I got to go do several things. I got to present research all over. I even got to go to Puerto Rico last year, which was, again, incredible. A lot of kids my age don't get those opportunities. So again, praise be to God, right? And I again, did work after work after work. I did this, so Kent State offers this thing that is called an honors thesis. It's a senior honors thesis. Some universities do it, I don't know how many. But it's essentially kind of like a master's, but a little bit more abridged. You have like a year and a half to get all of the work done. And it's a huge undertaking because of that time crunch, and then also you're doing it on top of doing your other responsibilities as an undergraduate student. And I was an undergrad with school and with work, and then I had this big undertaking of a thesis to do. But I said I wanted to do it because I wanted to be very competitive, and I remember the first thing I said when I walked into the door of my boss's office was that I want to do a thesis. And he said, well, let's wait a couple years and see if you still think that. And when the time came, I said, I want to do a thesis. So we did that thesis. And it's the reason you haven't been seeing a lot of me. I've been burnt out from it. But I've been doing it and working at it and working at it and working at it. And 2 weeks ago, I defended it and passed. So that was, again, another great work. But all of this, I say all of this to say, the time came now where I've always wanted to do at least by the end of everything, a PhD, because it's kind of been a given since both my parents are PhD holders. It was never like a question. I said I needed to get that too, needed to follow in their footsteps. But I wanted to start at a master's. At the time, I wasn't aware that you could, in America, you could just jump to a PhD. Back home, it's a little bit more. You have to go through a master's and then PhD to prove that you have what it takes to do it. But through the application process, again, I was so apprehensive, and I didn't know what I would do. I didn't know if I had enough experience. And again, because a lot of people were saying just jump to the PhD, I was like, well, I'm not sure of myself. And again, that other angel, my boss was like, just apply. He's like, just apply. Why are you putting yourself, just apply. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna listen to that. I'm just gonna apply for as many as I can. And right now, you know, as with everything, jobs are tight, but especially in the research field because of cuts to funding. There's a lot less work for graduate students, a lot less people are hiring, and if they aren't willing to cover school, because that's the other thing, is that I said I wasn't gonna go to pay for my graduate school. I can't do that, and I didn't want to, so I wasn't looking for any jobs that offered that. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna apply to as many as I can and hope that the experience I've gained is enough. So I ended up only applying to 2 jobs. Both of them were in Michigan. One of them was that PhD, the other one was a master's. And I was like, oh, okay, I really hope it's good. These interviews felt okay. I prayed on it again. And again, like what the verse that I'm reading from today says, that I committed to the Lord, that can be committed to the Lord these plans, right? And I said he was going to establish them. I said I wanted this, and it was going to happen because because I prayed and I asked for it, and I needed this in this time. So I prayed and I hoped and I believed. And I ended up getting both jobs, which was, again, it was incredible, but also terrifying because I was like, which one do I choose? I don't know which one to choose because, you know, go for the PhD, which is a longer amount of time, or the master's, which is a shorter amount of time. But again, it was just weighing the cost of everything, and I was sort of, you know, talking to them and asking them. I said, like, for the master's position, when I went to go interview for that one, no, it wasn't an interview, more of a visit to the campus, I asked him, like, or I didn't even ask him. He brought it up himself. He was more so like, you're a very competitive candidate, and all the work that you have done thus far has perfectly aligned with our lab. And I thought, how many dominoes had to fall perfectly aligned to make me end up there? Because my boss also knew this man personally. He had worked with him before, so that also made everything line up to the point that I was the candidate for this job, and he was telling me that, like, this job is yours to say no to. And I didn't know what to do, and so I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I talked to my parents about it, and I lost sleep over this. For context, at the time, I was still working on my thesis alongside all of this other work that I needed to get done. And I had to go, I want to say my gut, but it's probably that little voice that you hear in your head that's telling you, you know, go this way, go this way. And so I said, I'm gonna go do the job that's the master's in Michigan. And again, which is, it's incredible that this job just so happens to also hire for summer. So I'm not gonna have a long period of time where I'm not gonna be making any money. So I'm fully covered from when I leave school to when I go there. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible? And my entire journey here, from just before I came here to when I came here, has been just a series of plans, you know, like not plans that I laid, because anytime I tried to lay a plan, things would go all over the place, but things that I asked for, and I just said, put it in my path, and if I feel that I'm being directed towards it, then I will go towards it. And I feel completely like this is where I was placed to be. This is what I was made to do, to be here in this place right now. And so I sort of want to end with like a word of the advice to the children. And Sister Alverna said earlier, is that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on to your own understanding, right? So put your trust in him, and him what your plans are, and don't be so stuck in your ways, in your plans on what you want to do, because that's also a big thing that I had to learn, is to be flexible. That things aren't going to go your way, and they're not supposed to go your way, because you don't know everything. But you know who does know everything? Yes. And so we need to lean on him. You lean on him and ask him to direct you. Gabby. Ask him to direct you in what path what path he thinks that you should follow. And when you feel yourself being directed in that way, don't push against it. Lean into it. Go on to where and I promise you will succeed. Thank you.